opinions expressed by callers, guests, and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
Gold dinar would have had serious consequences for the world financial system, but may also have empowered the people of Africa, something black activists say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing.
Gaddafi didn't give up. In the months leading up to the military intervention, he called on African and Muslim nations to join together to create this new currency that would rival the dollar and euro. They would sell oil and other resources around the world only for gold dinars. It's an idea that would shift the economic balance of the world. Countries' wealth would depend on how much gold they have, not how many dollars they trade. And Libya has 144 tons of gold.
Brothers and sisters, this is Brother Davis, and I'm coming with you at Wise Wednesday. I know this might be a surprise to some, and that's fine, because literally there's some things that we need to have open discussion about. Tonight's show is entitled Lifting the Veil of Invisibility on Truth. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, what do you mean a veil of invisibility? Well, you know, there's a way that the system is designed everything so that they can do what they want to do in spite of what you see them doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the truth so that that veil of invisibility that allows them to see clearly and you to have a little bit tainted in your vision. And why is because of the system of visibility. The system of invisibility is based on several different characters. Not only is it social, not only is it media, not only is it programming and manipulation, but it's also greed. It's also envy, jealousy. All of these things play a role in the veil of invisibility. Well, I'm going to give you a truth straight out the gate. You, melanated, carbon-based black people are the original people. Absolutely. You were the first. Everything else came after you. Now, I know this goes against everything that Westernism teaches. But that is why we're lifting this veil of invincibility. Now, the reason why is because you need to see clearly that although the veil is invisible, it cloaks people's ability to see clearly based on what their points of view are. Okay? So, now that you know that you was the first, and there is no challenge to that at all. Okay? If you want to do some research on it, you could look at everything from, let's say, Dr. Frances Welsing's book, which is the ISIS Papers, which she clearly points that out. You could look at Dr. Layla's book on African remedies and medicinal plants, because he also points that out. You can look at the Metu Netor, which also points out clearly. And you can also look at Western science, because the oldest carbon-based body ever found, they called Lucy. And she was an African woman, and they found nothing that predates her, okay? So that's some clarity on just that issue. So let's move on, because, see, in order to have balance to this, I got to give you some history, and I got to give you what's going on today, all right? What's going on today is Trump is putting a cabinet together, and this cabinet's already designed to prep up, or should I say, give a booster shot to slavery. Now, I know some of you are saying, oh, no, there ain't no slavery today. Yes, slavery's alive and well. And those of you who listen to Black Talk Radio know it very well. And you see, the sad part about that is that for some time, you've been hearing them say, oh, black people aren't slaves, black people aren't slaves. Well, the connotation to black people aren't slaves is for black people to look at the quality and the state of their life today. Do you realize that we live at a lower level of health consciousness today than we ever did in history? Why? Because in history we were farmers. We knew what we put in the ground. We knew what came out of the ground. We knew how to prepare that. We knew how to eat it for nutrition. And understand that we could also see our bodies and families developing with a foundation that had nothing to do with what is going on today. What is going on today? Now, that was history I just gave you. What is going on today is the organizations of contentment. What is the organization of contentment? Those are organizations that are designed to keep the institution of racism alive and well. And there are a plethora of those. If you just want to start at the top of your head, look at the justice system. The justice system is designed so that there is a constant population base of black people within a system that is constantly, literally, and understand how to say that, finding through DNA that people they passed judgment on 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, through the technologies that they're incorporating in today with DNA, they're finding out that they were literally trapped. What do I mean? I mean, from the moment that they were stopped, for the moment they opened their mouths, they were victimized. And it may not have had anything to do with them. And they were saying the truth the whole time. When they said it wasn't me, I wasn't there, I wasn't that one. They didn't care about that. Because they had that veil of invisibility. Now, that veil of invisibility in that case is a system that is designed for other people to prejudge that person as being the culprit instead of the victim. And this is happening all around us, brothers and sisters. But it's not new. This is not new. Because remember, this is history. Harriet Tubman said that I would have freed more slaves had they known they were free. The sad part about that is that statement is applicable today. Now, I know some of y'all are saying, I really don't want no truth. I'm going into this holiday season, which is another veil that eventually you're going to have to lift. And the reason why you're going to have to lift it is because if you're really into the momentum of the the propaganda of the season, then they're expecting you to go out to these stores and make every one of those people who consider themselves the elite that own these stores and bring in this merchandise to make their money. And for you who do not know, do you realize that most of these businesses rely on at least 75 to 90% of their yearly profit between Thanksgiving and the first year? That's right. And things are booming because the deception that I talked to you about last week is a part of the cloak. You see, what makes the cloak so unique is that you can look directly at the problem and literally extract yourself from it. And that may be for any number of reasons. As I said, it could be for greed, it could be for envy, it could be for jealousy, it could be for money, it could be for guilt. It could be for a number of different things. This is what gives the cloth of invisibility, so much power. Let me give you a little history now. I gave you some more update. Another point that I want you to understand is that black people have been the inventors of the largest portion of not only new technology, but old technology. You know that? But you know that history taught us that the cotton gin was invented by a black man. Now, he couldn't patent it, so the white man that patented it got all the credit for it, plus the profits that came from the sale. Now, understand this. It wasn't limited to just one. If you look at everything from the street lights, the sewing machine, to hair products, all of these here things now, and the cell phone, I was going to move into the modern day, but cell phone was also invented by a black man, and the introduction of the internet was also, for those of you who don't know, was brought to the base of the public through his experiments. And guess what else? They have taken those names totally out of the public eye because it's a part of the veil, the invisible veil. Now, yeah, for a little history, let me give you something that's happening today. Right now, one of the major landmarks in South Carolina is called Gullah Island. Now, Gullah Island was originally the home of runaway slaves, and it was separated from the mainland, so literally, when they got there, they could set up a defense there and keep others from coming. So this is how they really established a foundation there. Over a period of time, they was able to buy the land and own it outright and started farming and that sort of thing, which was a great part of history. And if you go down there, they do what's called Gullah Island celebrations for tourists, which are very festive. But now, here goes a brother who's a Gullah, comes back, and now he sets up a real estate brokerage. Now, what he does is he petitions some of the major hotel chains about building facilities on Gullah Island. Major corporations about building facilities on Gullah Island. How does he can do that? How can he do that? Because once you are a Gullah and you are a family member of the island, you're entitled to a portion of that land that you can decide what to do with because you're born into it. So now, what this brother is doing, based on greed, make no mistake, this is greed. He is selling his heritage out because he can. And he's manipulating Gullah people who have moved away for 20, 30, 40 years, contacting them and saying, you know what? I know you're not interested in coming back here, and farm you grew up on is probably all beaten and run down. Maybe you got an uncle or aunt still living there, but you still own a percentage of that land. And I could find somebody who would be interested in paying you for that percentage. You see, what I'm doing is lifting the veil of invisibility to those people who do not know that, once again, our culture is under attack in another way. And the reason why is because we have to see very clearly the things that we could do from the position we're in to apply pressure so that we can try to stop these things. Because right now, the Gullah Islanders, their lifestyle has been infringed upon in a major, major, major way. And that's happening all over. But I'm thinking them out because I have been close to that myself. Because I've seen what they had accomplished in the past with families there and what is happening to them now. And this is Brother Davis on the Wise Wednesday, and the name of the show tonight is Lifting the Veil of Invisibility on Truth. I want you to take your time and think about what do I mean? I mean, some of them may be into something right now that they don't understand the long-term ramifications of what it is that they're doing, but then they may. So it is important for us to lift this veil so that the truth can at least come to the ear of those who seek it. All right? Another point of view, let me point out right now, because I'm trying to just give you some simplicity to your research. All right, Donald Trump has just been electorally elected, which we expected, to the presidency of the United States. Already he's putting word out about what he's going to do to undo what President Obama has done. The sad part about that, which you don't know, and I'm lifting this veil, is some of the same programs President Obama introduced in order to bring the economy or to bring jobs or to bring some reverence of people being able to get back into the profit and loss column again. He's implementing. Yes, when President Obama approached Congress and the Senate about it, they wouldn't do nothing. But those very same plans will get a new number tacked onto it, a new introducer tacked onto it, and he's going to present it to this Republican organization, and they're going to push it through very fast. You know why? Because most of their plan doesn't help everybody. You see, lifting the veil off will expose the fact that most of the white people that are poor are going to be victimized by the same plans that poor people are victimized by. Oh yeah, he's talking about taking $132 or $138 million out of HUD. Now, for those people who don't know, that's a direct effect on Section 8. So now they're saying, here's what you're starting to hear. Well, Section 8 literally was meant to be a temporary situation. And people have been on Section 8 for 10, some 15, and 20 years. Think about it. So they already have built a conclusion into the solution that they're offering. But they have not given any consideration to those people who they're going to cut right off. You know why? Because they said it in their statement. It was designed to be temporary. All right? Now, here is the veil. They're not doing this to corporations. Oh, yeah, corporations will continue to get their bonds and they'll continue to get their stipends. Why? Because when they give your money, and understand how I said that, that's tax dollars. When they give your money to corporations, they don't call it welfare, but that's what it is. They call it bond programs. They call it the improvement of the cities and of the businesses. Now, here's the catch to that. In most cases, those cities and those businesses that benefit by it don't benefit as much as the few who literally are administrating these funds. And they're utilizing those so-called worded phrases in order to get their way. Now, what's a worded phrase? Well, a worded phrase can be like, we're taking over your property by intimate domain. Oh, only the government can do that. Wait a minute now. Understand, right now, that pipeline is going into Dakota. They're claiming intimate domain that has nothing to do with the government. Nothing at all. But yet, you don't hear any of the legislators fighting for the issues that the Indians have, who literally established that as their homeland through a treaty. Oh, and by the way, to lift the veil, the invisible veil, America has never honored any treaty that they have made. Never. They broke them off. But when you listen to the history of America, and they tell you impossibility, what is that? An impossibility is George Washington throwing a silver dollar across the Potomac River. Never happened. That was one of the indoctrinating tools they use on our children in public school. And I didn't get to them yet because I'm going to get to them, but I didn't get to that yet. But I want you to see the importance of us being able to sit back and lift that invisible veil so that we can expose the truth to the world. What do I mean by to the world? Well, right now, the NATO is saying, do you realize that America has gone to war with and without our consent? Did you know that? Oh, absolutely. Remember Bush said, oh, we're going to go into Iraq, whether you like it or not. And he did. And here's the catch. He said it to NATO. Now, let me lift the veil of NATO here. NATO was originally put together so that world domination can be achieved. Oh, they use the niceties of, oh, there'll be no more war. America is 33 years old and been in the war for 222 years. So that is a veil lifted that was a lie. Now, let me also add to you this. The Trilateral Commission from the early 70s literally seen, we could really push our issues on the stronger forefront if we incorporated corporations into the idea of socialization. And then, lifting the veil, there was a group that was put together called ALEX. Now, what does ALEX do? ALEX is nothing but a group of conservative people, and they literally are heads of corporations. So they're saying this is a cooperation between politics and corporations in order to seek a better quality for humanity. A better quality of what? You see, one of the companies that is a part of the Alex Corporation is drilling right now in the Dakotas. Oh, by the way, they didn't tell you this. I think I mentioned it to you before. That same pipeline had a leak, dropped 177,000 or something gallons of oil. I think, matter of fact, I think that night we talked about that, Brother Scotty brought it to our attention. But the reality is that they try to keep a veil of invisibility. Why is it invisible? Because they pay certain people to shut up. Why do you think that during this whole Dakota thing, none of the legislators could be reached? Because they all were being manipulated. Here you go, take a junket. Here you go, get lost. Here you go. Now that here you go is a little palm grease. Because they're greedy. And let's face it, when you're dealing with corporations who are making $70 and $80 million a quarter, do you understand a quarter is only 3 months in a year? They could put whatever grease in that hand that they choose. Why do you think that all of these places, all these corporations and businessmen give money into the Democratic and the Republican Party? Oh, and by the way, to lift the veil, they're all the same people. The Democratic issues are the Republican issues, and the Republican issues are the Democratic issues. And if you don't believe it, look at the Democratic administration that was in during Bush, and then the Republican administration that was in during Bush, and then the Democratic administration that came in during President Obama. None of what Bush put into place was changed or overturned. Nothing. Not even the Patriot Plan, which everybody knew it took away the law of posse comitatus. Now, posse comitatus means that no military in America can be used against the civilians, the American civilians. But, thanks to our illustrious president, Barack Obama, he introduced the National Authorization Defense Act. Now, that act has a plethora of rights totally taken away. And for you who just want to keep the veil, I'm telling you, When they say taken away, I mean absolutely taken away. Look at some of these your car stops. Do you realize at one time when a policeman stopped your car for a traffic violation, it might have took 10 or 15 minutes, but you drove away with a ticket. A simple ticket, all you had to do is pay it or fight it. Now, people are not driving away. People are dying. You see, that is another part of this so-called invisible veil. Let me say this right here. Anything that attaches itself to an institution to hold someone else down is a complex of that institution. And racism is the institution, and all of these are just different complexes. We're coming up on the first half hour. This is Brother Davis on a Wise Wednesday. I want to encourage you. This is Black Talk Radio, and believe me, we bring you information that you will not get anywhere in modern-day media. And if so, it may be in coordination with what we're doing here, and you may not know. But we don't bring you these things because we want to tax you. We want to bring these things to you so you can incorporate your ideologies, and you can use the information that we bring to you as part of building your strategy. So we here at Black Talk Radio would like you to go to our webpage, go down to the red button and make a contribution, because that contribution you make is what helps us continue to bring you the type of programming that's going to keep you at the top of the game and conversating, as well as building and putting groups together so that we can start collating our ideas, our resources, and our people so that we can become a greatness in America. So, this is Brother Davis coming at you at Wise Wednesday, and I'm telling you, we are lifting the veil on all of this deception and all of this denial, because that's what it is about it. A lot of us are saying, well, don't bother me, so I'm not going to worry about it. See, that's what I heard some black people saying about the water struggle that the Indians were having. But you know what I said to them? What happens if the Indians lose and that water gets contaminated? Where do you get your drinking water from? That changes the whole dynamic. It is not an Indian problem. It is a human problem. And the reason why it is a human problem, because if they can do it to them, they will do it to you. Oh, did you forget about Flint, Michigan? Or New Orleans? Or Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? Or Texas? There's a couple towns in Texas, as a matter of fact, not just one or two. We are literally being victimized, and our birthrights are being usurped from us because we want that veil there. We want to go to work for these people, and we want to emulate them so they're not terrified by us. This is Brother Davis. The first quarter is going up. We're ready to go to a commercial. I want you to sit by your phones, pick up your questions, write down the answers, and call us with them right here on Wise Wednesday.
For podcasts and live program scheduling, visit us on the web at blacktalkradionetwork.com.
866-510-9025, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. 866-510-9025 is the number which you could call and be a part of this here. We need to have dialogue. A monologue is good for getting information out, but a dialogue gives us strength.
Brother
because
Davis,
others can see they can become a part. Yes.
They have to hit ** to bring themselves up on the board after they call in. That's **. Like the last conference line we were using, it was *61. On this one, it's **.
Excellent. Okay. When you call in that number at 866-510-9025. You have to hit star to come up on the conference board, and we can pick you up and see you then. Now, I stopped at a particular point in that conversation. Why? Because I wanted you to see that the veil of the injustice comes into play on everybody. You can be driving your car and be the next victim. Oh, no, not me.
Brother Davis.
How about the brother? Yes.
On the last example you used, can I add something to that example about the water?
Oh, yes. Go ahead, brother.
You notice when Flint first popped off how it was racialized, where we were made to think through the media that it only impacted black people or the majority were black people. So it became a black issue and not a water issue. Did you notice that? I noticed that. But
yes, they put black faces up front. Yes.
Right. But these are, like you said, maybe some people were saying, oh, those just black people. I don't care about clean water and all this and that until it happens to them. Because I saw that report out of Texas, all them white people water being poisoned. It's going on here in North Carolina with Duke Energy and its coal ash plants. The outgoing governor used to work for Duke Energy, and now we're finding out that a lot of people's private well water has been poisoned because these coal ash ponds been leaking. And so it's going on all over the country. But just to illustrate your point, that some people, they don't care about these issues. They think it'll never happen to them until it happens to them. But just the trickery of the system knows that the majority of people in this country don't seem to give a damn about issues impacting black people. So they painted Flint as a black issue when it's a water issue that is widespread across this country. I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Look, brother, and that's good content because in reality what you're doing is you're reiterating exactly what I'm trying to get them to understand. This could be you, and it can very well be you and you not know it. And another contributor to that same problem is this new way of their drilling that they got going on, where they're literally blasting the earth with chemical-based water to get the gas out of the ground. Yeah, that's contaminating groundwater on such a level that literally people have running water in their houses, and you can put a match to it, and it turns into fire. Wow, the water's running. You see, these are home issues that they put this veil over by not exposing you to it. But although the veil is invisible, as I said, there are some people who are saying, well, that's not happening here. That's not my problem. We are being dehumanized on such a level that if we do not decide that our humanistic nature means more to us than the profit of corporations, than the deception of politicians, and the incooperation of local municipalities, we got to stop paying our tax dollars. How else are you going to make a difference? But you can't do it one by one. You have to do it in such an organized way that you can take the control back. So it's literally going to mean you build alliances, you talk to like-minded people, and you find solutions, and you get everybody to agree, and that is the grounds on which you base your attack. A lot of people don't even realize that the water that is tainted in Flint, they still want them to pay for. That's right. They're still getting water bills. And those water bills shouldn't be climbing at all because a lot of people say they don't even turn the water on. They're used to a life of bottled water. Understand how I said that. They become used to a life of bottled water. Now let me take the veil off of this. The government knew about this. The governor knew about this. The city planners knew about this. And they let this happen to everybody in the city. So don't think it's a race issue. Corporate America wants you to think it's a race issue because guess what? That keeps you divided. Oh yeah, you drink water differently than I do. Yes, you do. And that way, the way you drink water contaminates you. But the way I drink water, and we drinking the same water. Wait a minute. If we drinking the same water, are y'all getting this? Because that's what I mean about building alliances. Those people who literally fell for the corporate deception and have separated themselves from the problem are still indulging in the substance of the problem. And the same way for you black people who think that because it's not in South Watatuck, or should we say even Georgia, or maybe not down in the Florida Keys, it's not going to affect you. It does. It may not immediately, but it will. Because when corporations start this process, they don't care. Scotty just told you about an old company down in North Carolina. Been doing it for years. They don't care. And the people aren't even rising up to the level where they can get some public opinion there. What is public opinion? This the exposure. And that's what they have to do. You see, when you say nothing, you're like a can of beans. Everybody knows beans is in the can, but if you roll it, it's full. You don't hear nothing. But you take the beans out that can and roll it. See, that's what we got to do. That's what this here is. This is taking the beans out the can and showing them there. The beans was here, but they wasn't making enough noise. Now we need to make our voices heard. So let's be the empty cans about this issue all over the country, about the police issue all over the country, about the incorporation of militarization of the police department all over the country, because corporations are making a fortune on this. And here's the catch. Your tax dollars are paying for it. Absolutely. So, once again, for those people who think that, should I say, St. Louis, where the brother was shot and all of a sudden the people were up in arms, and when they went in to do the investigation, they found that the police department had the whole black community held hostage through traffic violations and warrants. It was considered unconstitutional, but that goes on all over the country. We have to lift the invisible veil of secrecy from over these circumstances. Another situation is the UN. They got this year 21st century plan, Agenda 21. I bought it to you about 2 or 3 months ago. Well, this plan is on steroids in certain parts of the country, y'all. And if you don't watch out, you won't even have a national park to go to. You will not be able to buy land. Do you hear me now? You will not be able to buy land. The sad part about it is that if you buy land at the wrong place, the first thing they're going to do is claim eminent domain. But we got a plan for that, eminent domain. There are facilitators to this all over the country, y'all. Identify. Those people talking about, oh, we're going to make this a green expression. We're going to bring nature back. That is not the essence of what they're trying to do. The essence of what they're trying to do is contain you. They want you to live a way they want you to live. They don't even want you to have a car, because a car gives you a certain degree of freedom they do not want you to have. Taking the veil of invisibility off truth, you need to have more than one identification card. If you only have one identification card, right now, there's legislation that if they go, literally, states want to get out of the U.S. Union. And they say they can, but even if they can't, what they can do is push states' rights. And if they get states' rights, brother, no state has to accept your ID outside of the states that you're in. You don't think that's a problem? Wake up, y'all. Wake up, my brother. We in what they call the holiday season that they don't explain to you. They tell you, oh, we call it Xmas because we want to separate the religion from the holiday. They can't. You know why? Corporate America's already put that in place. The sad part about it is that it's all right to make money off religion. They do it every weekend in the church. But that religion can't help the very people that give that money in. You know why? Because they ain't a bank. They'll tell you that. I'm not telling you something that I don't know. I'm telling you something that is true. Oh, yeah, they'll come to you and say, well, here's a turkey basket on Thanksgiving. We have a clothing drive. My sister had, in her church down in South Carolina, they had what was called the FDA food bank. And believe me, that FDA food bank was 75 to 85% processed foods. Now, for those of you who don't know, let me lift the veil of invisibility. Processed foods are full of GMOs and destructive drugs. Their ingredients are so bad that they literally cover them up with words. What do you mean cover them up with words, Brother Davis? I mean, they don't tell you it's high fructose corn syrup. They give you a different name, sorbetic acid. They give you a chemical compound to tell you the same thing. But here's the catch. None of it tells you that through long-term consumption, it can be hazardous to your health. Don't take my word for it. There is a corporation that's connected with NATO. I tell you, I like being on the game. A corporation connected with NATO called Codex. And if you look into their guidelines, you see, you have to meet these guidelines if you're going to get any resources from NATO. All right? So NATO has been co-opted by corporations so that they can get their foods in foreign countries. Here's the catch. A lot of those countries do not want genetically modified food in them, so they can't come under the name of genetically modified foods. So they come under the veil of, well, if you want us to help you in time of distress. You guys said that? If you want us to help you to be able to build a GNP, a gross national product, as something that may be common to the country that they can grow a lot of in order to export it and be able to make dollars from it, okay? In order for you to be able to expand on that, you need to come to NATO. No, you don't need to go to NATO. But they want you to be manipulated or manipulatable. So if you do become a part of NATO, and mostly all of Europe is, and the reason why mostly all of Europe is because they're tied to the financial system that is directly connected to the International Monetary Fund, who also has a office at NATO. You see how all of this is literally coming at you from so many different ways that, brothers and sisters, some people will look and say, wow, what can I do? You got a voice. You got an opinion. Don't stop at what can I do. Stop at this is what I'm doing and keep going. And the reason why I say stop it, this is what I'm doing, because you got to identify what you're doing first before you can be effective with it. And then when you go out there and you see how effective it is, you can gather those people who are like-minded to give your empty can more voice. We are lifting the veil off all of this deception. Do you realize America has never gotten into a war that it did not, in some way, start itself? Think about that. Or they were cahoots into the war in the agreement of. Okay? Let me help you here. Because see, a lot of people, you're going to get a little upset behind what I'm about to say. Why? Because you really thought that the wars were based on going in the country to bring in democracy. No, they weren't. That's the veil they put over it. But do you know that, let's go back to the First War, the World War I. The reason why the United States got in that war because the Rothschilds wanted to make money. Do you hear me? No, wait, we're talking names now. They wanted to make money. And another thing they wanted to do is they wanted to make money in the United States, hand over foot. Think about that. So they got together with the money people in the United States, and they came up with a third-party system. Now, everybody knew at that time that they didn't want a third party. But because there was underrousing of a war, there was, what should I say, factions that were literally going back and forth. And so the Rothschilds sold both sides of the war. What do I mean? They gave them money to buy products from other corporations in order to sustain the war, and then they made money off the products they bought from those corporations and made interest off the money that they lent the corporations in order to make sure they had the product to keep the war going. So that meant that out of the two parties in the world, the third party in that war was the financiers. Oh, but that ain't just that one. They turned around and Andrew was running for president. They turned around and said, "Listen, the United States, we could organize this real nice. But here was what you got to do. You got to approach and say, Andrew, and say, look, Andrew Jackson, and say, look, we can get you that presidency. We have enough money we can finance it and guarantee you to win. But here's what we need. We need you to do a backroom deal with us and incorporate the Federal Reserve as a branch of the government that makes money." Now, understand how I said that. As a branch of. They were not of the government. These were private businesses. And now, because of the movement of a pen, it literally tapped into the tax base of America. And they never left. And the Federal Reserve is still here now. And every financial institution in America has a group of rules and regulations for the Federal Reserve. Interesting, huh? Oh, it gets better. Because you have to understand now, there was another war brewing. As time went on, the stock market crashed and went up again. And why did it crash? Because they gutted the system. They took all of the gold out the system, or they had all the gold out the system, then they dropped the stock value. Then they came back and said, we could do this. We could restructure this. Yes, so if you don't know, I'm taking the veil off the fact that the first financial depression was done on purpose, just like the second one. Yeah, it was too. So to those of you who don't know these things, listen. All I'm trying to do is give you a little bit of background because I'm moving you forward. All right? Okay, let's look at the Germans. Yeah. Now, why did Germany push Hitler so fast through the system? Well, do you realize it really wasn't Germany? No, it was Austrian money and a group of Jews that are called, are you ready? Zionists. Now, of course they're not going to tell you this, but here was the deal. Let me put it out there. They said if we go to war, then we could really get the principle into play where we can get rid of a lot of the people who are our problems. So for you who don't know, there wasn't just Jews killed in Germany. They killed all the blacks first. Then they killed all the homosexuals. They systematically genocide the whole country. And there's still, to this day, they talk about the number of Jews that died there. But you know what the outcome of the war was? Hitler was gone. The corporations and the politicians designated a piece of the land that is now Israel to be given to all Jews as a homeland. Now, they took it. Yes, they did. They took it from the Palestinians. and they put the Jews there, right in the Middle East. And the Jews, that was fine with them because they paid for all of this. Wake up, y'all. I'm taking the veil off the truth, the invisible veil off the truth. Now, what did they do? They gave those Zionists everything they need. Everything from weapons, the missiles, the building material, everything. Do you think that was done because they were nice people? No, it wasn't. So look around you. Anytime you pick up a newspaper, you know it's owned by a Jewish person. When you go to the movies, you know it's probably owned by a Jewish person. When you listen to the so-called media, you know it's probably judged and governed by a Jewish person. You see, they don't want you to know the plethora of tentacles that they have. Oh, by the way, don't let me forget that most of the motion picture industry was run by Jewish people. Some of the major financiers in the United States, they are connected to Jewish people. And these are the same people that will tell you one thing and do another. And understand that a lot of what's going on in the United States is done because they want the confusion in order to push their agenda. And why would I say that? Well, for those of you who know the name, George Soros, oh yeah, he literally single-handedly is starting to manipulate the gay agenda on every level thanks to the cooperation of other corporations through contributions. Do you think that all of a sudden the homosexual community just came up with money? No. Boy, wake up, my brothers. We are taking the invisible veil off of the truth. Okay, my brothers and sisters, we are moving in slowly to this last hour. Now, I really want to expose some things to you that are going to hit home. How do I know they're going to hit home? Because you partake up in them every day. That's right. And a lot of times you partake up in them knowing you ain't got no business doing that. Our community is dying because you know you have no business doing that. We are victimizing our sons and our daughters because you know you have no business doing that. We're in a holiday season, and come February, a lot of that money that you spent for things that will lose the novelty within a month or two, because you knew when you did that, you really could have used that money somewhere else. But it's the veil. Remember? I told you sometimes you look right at the veil and know and still make a decision that is against your own interest. Did you hear how I said that? You literally make a decision that is against your own interest. I can't love you anymore or make it any plainer. Because in reality, when you make decisions like that, a lot of times you come back a month or two later and you know what you say, I could have kicked myself. What did I do that for? You did it because you knew it was against your own interest. See, that's why we as black people have to be able to embrace something we have in common. And the reason why we haven't embraced something we have in common is because we don't want to accept the fact that this is something that black people embrace. I heard a conversation today about Kwanzaa. It's the season. And I began to realize, I really don't know a lot about Kwanzaa. I mean, I've been to several venues, and I thought I was up on with the message they were trying to convey. But today someone said to me, this is an action, a call to arms for all black people to have something in common that they can enjoy together. Now, that's powerful. Think about that. Something that all black people all over the world can literally come together. They can break bread. They can pray over those who are gone. They can enjoy themselves and the seven principles, as well as embrace each other. We must start somewhere. And when that person said that, that made me realize that I'm a little late. I should have been up on that. I thought I knew, but I didn't. You know why? Because it was perspective. And you know, the sad part about it is that I should have seen that. I was going to many Kwanzaa celebrations as a vendor and also as a participant. And I just didn't put everything in order. But now, when it was clarified to me, that is going to be a part of the celebration of who I am, what I represent, and the culture that we can possess as our own. Now, they talked about the words and why they used the Swahili terms, because it was a language that was used by our people from almost all over the continent until Europeans came in and introduced their language. And see, what's unique about this, here's another veil I'm going to lift real quick before we go to break, because we're due to go to break. For those of you who don't know, Africans literally explored this whole world before Europeans even knew about it. Every continent. That's right. Our life print is on every continent in the world. Before we even knew what Europeans were. We were there doing business, doing trade. And not at one time, not one country ever came and said, we don't want you here. You know why? Because we didn't come to take from them. We came to barter, to trade. We respected their customs. We respected what they were trying to achieve. And most of them embraced us so much that what we bought, the civility that we bought, the teachings that we bought, the behavior patterns that we bought, the tools that we bought, the experience that we bought from farming to engineering to ornamental horticulture, everything we literally shared because we believed that life is sacred. So when you are going through your holiday season, so be it, whatever it is, you ask yourself this question: how sacred is life to you? Because I'm about to lift the veil off something else. Okay, we're approaching the break, and this is the top of the hour. We got 1 hour left, and I really want you to call. If you have any questions, call. Because I got a lot of information, and some of it I won't be able to cover. And the reason why I won't be able to cover is because a lot of times the conversation goes in different directions. But I want to talk, and I want to help. So please give us a call here at Wise Wednesday. Brother Dave's coming at you. I'll be right back.
Radio since 2008, providing new black media for the masses. All right,
brothers and sisters, we are back, and I'm gonna tell you something. This is the last hour. I would really like you to pick up the phones and give us a call here at Black Talk Radio. Allow us to be a monologue in the midst of your season. Let us have a dialogue in the midst of your season, so that we can open up some doors here and literally take some of these veils away. Okay, I told you that I was going to go into another level of literally giving you an understanding of what is happening to us. All right? Let me say this here. Everybody knows what high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, all of these things are doing to our community. But here's what you don't know. This is being done on purpose. That's right. The foods that we are eating, foods that are being purchased mostly by black people, those foods have been targeted. So literally, if you are not knowledgeable, you're victimizing yourself. Now, remember what I said before? Some people willingly do that. And then they want to sit back and it runs in my family too. Oh, I don't feel so good today. I got a niece, I love her to death, but she has diabetes and doesn't take it seriously. She thinks that the medicine is going to be the solution, and it's not. The medicine was created to prolong the problem till death. And that's not the only one. Anybody that's taking a lifestyle that is accepted, taking a medicine as the solution to their problem, the end result is death. We can do something about it. You can do something about it. But it takes a little due diligence on you. And if you do that due diligence, you're going to find that you have an opportunity to totally change that dynamic. Make no mistake, Nestle's, let's look at the big ones. Pepsi-Cola, McDonald's, all of them know what they're doing. Do you realize there's 102 ingredients in a French fries at McDonald's? And a French fry. And it's only supposed to be potatoes and oil. Maybe a little salt. But these other ingredients are there for different things. And if you don't believe me, take a Happy Meal. Buy it, take it home with it at $4 or something. I mean, I don't even know. But put it under a glass. Put it on the table, but maybe under on a cake dish, and you watch it. And that Happy Meal will look just as happy in a week because it's a Happy Meal. And it looks just as happy in a month because it's a Happy Meal. Now, after a month, it's going to start showing signs inwardly, but not outwardly. You know why? Because they're selling you the product based on appearance. And most of us are buying, or most of those people are buying it based on appearance. You know why? Because they have indoctrinated your children. How many times did a child sit in the back seat when she sees the golden arches, or he sees the golden arches, can't pronounce the word, but hollers McDonald's? That is programming. And then here you are, oh, you know, McDonald's, okay, I got to get my baby a Happy Meal. You're poisoning them. I'm taking the veil off of truth. That invisible veil, we're going to burn that up tonight. Because guess what? You get a soda with that meal, you know what's in that soda? Let me say this. Have you ever taken a Coke and had a corroded battery that was so corroded that it was green and poured that Coke on that battery? It eats that green off that battery? Or maybe a rusty bumper. You got an old car, got a rusty bumper. You want to get the rust off it, pour that Coke on that bumper. This is what you're consuming when you literally are drinking this stuff. But they don't want you to know. They want you to think Coke is the real thing. Yeah, it's the real thing that'll kill you. But yet and still, some people are out there say, oh, man, I like me a Coke. I like to have me a Coke every day. Listen, I'm a truck driver. You know, I'll be around people who got those 44 thermo mugs, 44-ounce thermo mugs, and they go in and they fill it up with what? Coke, Pepsi, Fanta, all of that stuff is a time bomb. We taking the cloak off truth. I'm giving you the truth just the way it is. Don't think for 1 minute that there's something out there that doesn't have an underlying message, especially when it comes to the food and beverage industry. Now, I'm going to tell you something, and it's really going to get you. I used to be a heavy beer drinker. Oh, yeah, back in my day, I'd go back a 6 in a football game. Well, I found out the dumb beer cans are lined with some BPD. Now, you know what that is? That's a chemical. But what that chemical does is it puts fat, estrogen in the beer, and that estrogen literally makes your masculine qualities feminine. Oh, yeah. And they started in the Coke 45. Remember the old Coke 45s when it first came out, that malt liquor? They were saying it's so bad for you, but it was only in the black community. Did that tell you something? You see, we have to wake up to these truths. Remember I said you'll deal with some of these things on a daily basis. Okay? Now, let's take and move a little quicker here because I kind of want you to see what's happening to our children. Our children now, they're at a stage where they go to school every day and they're given these lunches, and these lunches that they're giving them, literally, they tell you have nutritional value. But in reality, they don't. Why? Because natural nutrition is something that's almost an obsolete animal. Remember a time when you can go to the store and you can buy anything from an apple to kale, go home, play it, cook it the way you like it and eat it, and you still got a certain degree of nutrition. Well, that nutrition's not in the food no more because they literally get in the soil. So if they're not putting the nutrition back into the soil before they plant the seed, the nutrition's not there. And see, here's what you heard my wife say about people used to burn wood and then they take the ashes out and put it in their garden. They don't do that no more. Those ashes were full of vitamins and minerals that literally grew into the soil and was absorbed by the seed in the growing process. Therefore, you still got some return to your consumption. You don't get that today. The sad part about it is that my favorite friends eat chicken. Oh, they love some chicken. Fried, dyed, laid to the side. Don't make it different. They love them some chicken. Yeah, so how old that chicken? Oh, it took about 8 or 9 months. What do you mean it's 8 or 9 months? Well, it take 8 or 9 months to get a chicken this big. No. That might be 35, 40 days. What? Oh, yeah. See, these chickens ain't grown by farmers no more. They're grown on farms, corporate farms. And I'm going to tell you, these corporate farms are doing so many different things to your chicken. Kentucky Fried can't even call theirs chicken no more. Let me repeat myself for those people who like Kentucky Fried Chicken. These corporate farms are doing so much to these chickens that Kentucky Fried Chicken can't call it Kentucky Fried Chicken no more. That's why you hear the commercials, KFC, and they got the dippers, they got the slippers, they got everything but a chicken leg. They don't even say chicken wings no more. Are y'all getting this yet? You see, when you pull the invisible veil off truth, you have an option. I'm hoping, I'm praying that you will follow the truth. Because I don't know what this other stuff's going to do to you. You see, I know that truth, once it gets in you and it's stirred up a little bit and it gets to yearning around the system, you're going to get to saying, you know what? I'm not going to eat this if it ain't chicken. I thought it was chicken. And see, you people out there who think that this chicken is so good, remember now, 90% of the chicken now that is leaving the country, being processed in China, and coming back into the country. And China has no standards when it comes to their food. You know why they have no standards? Let me open it. Take another veil off. They have no standards because they have no standards for food because they eat everything. Now, I know that sounds a little harsh, so let me say this. They eat rats because it's common. They eat dogs because it's common. All kind of birds, from pigeons to chickens, it's common. They breed these things to eat. So how can you put a standard on preparation or preparedness? And if you think that this might be a little far-fetched, do you realize that lately rice that's been imported in the United States from China, they find plastic in it now? Oh yeah, to pump up the weight, they're incorporating plastic rice with regular rice. I know truth is a hard pill to swallow sometimes, y'all. And can you imagine how I felt when I'm finding these things out? Because, see, I'm going to tell you, I got a wife that said, don't eat that. I don't even question no. I just said, what you mean? I don't even question no more. I just don't eat it. Because one of her pet peeves is that she focuses on holistics. And in that focus, she's learning about a plethora of other things that become conversation that we have. And, I really didn't think about it. And when I say I didn't think about it, she'll say, did you know? What do you mean, did I know? Well, did you know that sugar is the most addictive drug in America known to man? I mean, think about that. Sugar. Now, understand, sugar ain't what it used to be, by no means. But it is the most addictive drug known to man. And it is in everything. So if you find anything cooked or processed to any degree, chances are there's some sort of sugar in there. Now, understand this, too. Sugar is the source of diabetes. Because you hear them talk about, I got to see where my sugar's at. Back in the day, I remember people used to say, "Oh, they got the sugars." I didn't know what the sugars was. But now, as I begin to grow and become more mature, I'm finding out that the sugars was a way for them to make this a disease appear to have a community attachment. And guess what? I'm beginning to find out why it has a community attachment. Because they want the addiction in every community. And here's the catch. Oh, this is the bomb here. They thought that only you would be victimized by it. No. White people are falling for it, too. Because, see, they also, on certain levels, have to deal with the veil. And a lot of them don't want to deal with the veil. You know why? Because they trust your government. They trust your FDA. The same people that's sending your chicken far, far away, and it's coming back, and they really don't know what all's done. These people are not looking out for your best interest. So, now we're getting kind of deep here, so I know nobody really want me to say anything about water. Bottled water? Bottled water got almost everything that the regular fountain drinking water got in it. It goes through a process. Some of them processes ain't good. Oh, how about the new purified water? You know what they tell you there? Purified water is water that's been boiled, but they add a little bit of amount of sodium glutamate, magnesium, and sodium salt. I guess that's to enhance the flavor or whatever. Don't give them no nutrition. See, you have to understand the role water plays. Your body is between 80 and 84% water. Your brain, literally, it's encased in a liquid that's principally water. So when you don't have that natural source, and that's a birthright, it's not like any government has a right to control it, or any company has a right to control it. So, to lift the veil, all off of the truth, they're contaminating it. Because they know if they contaminate it, they force you to buy it. We're dealing with a very diabolical being. And I only say a being because I don't know what kind of being. But they appear to have human attributes. But, and I say this all the time, I could not do to humanity what they're willing to do to humanity for money. And we have to accept that truth. They're not doing it for any other reason than greed. So let's wake up, my brothers and sisters, because now we got to talk about the babies. Oh, you see the mothers just had a new baby and they breastfeed a little bit here and a little bit there, and before you know it, they're on the WIC program, and the WIC program is giving them infamil. You know what the infamil is? It's predominantly oil. That does have some things in there to give it the appearance of something else, but it's really not good for human consumption, and here they're telling you to put it in a baby. Now, a baby looks to you as the example that they need to follow in order to pick up the traits and the attributes of good citizenship and humanism. But this is what you give them 4, 5, 6 days out of the womb. We have to wake up, y'all. All of those formulas out there now that are animal-based of any kind are not good for a child. If you're going to do something, my wife says, if you got to use some almond milk, if you can't do it yourself, make yourself some almond milk. Even rice milk, if you got a good quality of rice, even rice milk is good because your system identifies the natural ingredient that literally is there to nourish you. Now, when we were coming up, my wife was telling me when you ran out of formula, well, formula wasn't there on that. That's how I give you an idea. But what they used to do is put some evaporated milk and some water and some Karo syrup, and at that time, that gave you enough nutrition. The mommy got home from work or whatever, and you could suckle again. But you knew you was getting the natural nutrients that way. See, a lot of nowadays, that was prior to 1970, and nowadays, a lot of these mothers, they don't even consider what they give their children. I know someone that's a mother right now has a child with very bad asthma. Even when you tell her that asthma probably stems from that formula that you're giving them, she wants the freedom. You see about that decision you got to make? And some people, they don't make decisions that is the best thing for them. Well, sometimes that best thing for them, the decision they make isn't about them. It may be about their children. We have to wake up. We're going to lift the veil of all this deception. One thing that we cannot do is fall for the deception ourselves, because we know what's going on. Even if you don't want to accept it, you know what's going on. We are at a stage right now where we can do things. We can identify who we are. We can identify what we stand for. We can identify what the truths are. And we can make the decisions that will guarantee us a longer life. If we neglect in any one of those areas, we victimize ourselves. And when you victimize yourself, literally, you're condemning yourself to die in one manner or another. I know that sounds cruel. It sounds cruel when I first came to the realization of what I was doing. Because until you wake up, you don't see a problem in it. Until you identify that you can do something different, that's acceptable. Well, when I woke up and I identified, I started changing my life. I'm not different than you. If we're going to lift the veil off the truth, we got to start with the man in the mirror, like Michael Jackson said. And sometimes people just don't want to believe it. You know, you've been to the grocery store. Somebody come in there and they got 2 cartons of food, of the most destructive food in the store. You know what I'm talking about? Ramen noodles, canned chicken, canned sausage, pig feet. Oh, hell, they make pickled pig feet. That just tripped me out when I seen that. Pickled pig feet? But in certain parts of the country, that's acceptable. But these are the very things that lead to our bad health habits. And then we have bad health. We have to wake up and take responsibility for the people we are and the length of the quality of life that we want to have and the length of time that we want to be here. So that means that we got to start becoming more knowledgeable of our food. We're going to have to start reading the labels and not accepting what they tell us. Do a little bit more due diligence so you will know exactly what you're reading. And 3, we want to teach our children. We want our children to see the importance of mommy and daddy reading labels and conversing about what's on that label, because then they hear and know that's a part of adult behavior. And you see, we want to raise our children to become responsible adults because they become the parents of our grandchildren. And I don't know about y'all, but I enjoy hanging out with my grandchildren. Sometimes I don't even want to take them back to their parents. I do, though. That's a responsibility. But because of the quality of understanding, of knowledge that I have now, I'm very, very, very fickle when it comes to them. Now, my wife, she's creative. No, she doesn't like them going to McDonald's and places like that. And she, what you want? I want nuggets. Well, my wife got this way of making these spinach nuggets. Ain't no chicken in them. And everything is healthy about them. And they sit there and eat them nuggets. And you would think that they was at McDonald's, what's happy as they are, because they get nuggets. And you know what? She's not doing what other people cannot do. You can do it yourself. They're called spinach nuggets. They just got spinach inside. But it's our responsibility. And this is what I'm trying to get you to understand. And she talks about they're breaded, they're lightly fried, and they look like nuggets. And the kids love the taste. And you can put a little dip out there if you want to. Me, I like a little balsamic, and I like, they don't, that's what the children don't, but, you know, there's things that you can do. You put a little honey out there, you know, put a little peanut butter, honey, little barbecue sauce, you say, you know what I mean? There's things that we can do to take the lead of being able to bring our families back to the table of good health. And my wife, in order to get them to drink almond milk, she took a regular bottle of milk, dumped it out, cleaned it out real good, put the almond milk in. Then after 3 or 4 days of them drinking it for cereal and everything else, she exposed it to them. And guess what? They didn't bat an eye because they begin to realize over there, none of one should eat healthy. Now, she makes little things she's going to snack on because that's the creative nature of her. She'll go ahead and go buy some frozen food and put it in the whipping machine, whip it all up till it's moist, and then she'll pour it in the mold, put it in the fridge, and before you know it, they got fruit pops. They don't know. Oh, they got fruit pops. But she has the satisfaction of knowing exactly what's in that. And see, these are the truths that we have to bring alive in our lives. Because, my brothers and sisters, we can do this. We need to save our civilization. We need to save our civilization in a manner that those people who don't want to literally will become the victim of their own behavior. I've already told you that 90% of all disease comes from diet. So we can literally eliminate disease by taking control of our food consumption and our diet. Would you like to add? Okay, my wife, she's beside me, giving me different things to say, and I'm trying to put it in order. But she asked, did you see the video that doctors don't die yet? Because literally, there's a message in there, not just for a few. It's for everybody. And in order for us to get the word out, we can only come from our place of experience and use our resources. Like right now, this is a resource. And during this holiday season, y'all going to be putting some stuff in your mouth. You know you're going to be putting some stuff in your mouth. And you know what you're going to say? Ooh, God, this just tastes good. But when people say that to me, you know what I say? Well, how nutritional is it? But what? Well, how nutritional is it? Well, I can't answer that question. Well, thank you, but no thank you. It's very simple. You don't have to offend nobody. And if they get offended, it's their choice. I'm not trying to offend them. I'm trying to inform them. I appreciate you thinking of me on that level, but in reality, I like to know what I'm eating. I like to know if it's going to be a benefit to my body. And if you're a finicky eater, eat it home before you get there. That way you're not as hungry. Because everywhere you go, they're going to have something. You know what I noticed today? They got those little chocolate things now. They used to sell them individually. I think they're for Jay or something. Well, they got big boxes now. They got like 2 dozen of them in a box. And I happened to be this brother. His brother might have been close to 400 pounds. He had a box on the table in front of him, and I was there getting a cello workshop. And he was eating these things, boom, 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 back to back, while he was doing the paperwork. So I said to him, I said, brother, you know, a lot of times there's so much sugar and malt in that it's not good for your body at all. I said, you ever get heartburn? He said, oh, I get heartburn all the time. I said, you ever get acid indigestion? I said, yeah, I get acid indigestion all the time. I said, do you know what leaky gut syndrome is? He said, no. When I got done telling him what leaky gut syndrome is, that he was like, wow, they do that to the food? Yeah, they do. And the sad part about it is, a lot of people don't even look to see if it's genetically modified or what. But a side effect from genetically modified food is leaky gut syndrome. Because, and you know the story, we've already told you about what they put into the soil that gets into the food, and when you eat it, it's designed to kill insects by blowing their stomach up or eating holes to their stomach. But when you eat that food as a byproduct of being in that ground, literally the same thing happens to you. So we're going to take the veil off. We might as well dead our whole way out. Now they make Twix bars that are 2 feet long. You go to the store, they got double packs now. I remember I used to go and get a pound of Twizzlers. That's how bad I was. You are not the exception. Until you wake up, all of us had these habits. Your habit may not have been exactly like mine, but your habit was dangerous enough for you to make a different course of action. And that's what we got to start doing. We got to start taking a different course of action. Because what we're doing now is killing us at an alarming rate. An alarming rate. And you couple that with the number of people that are found missing every year. Did you know that? Oh, yeah. Every year, there's a certain amount of men that go missing, a certain amount of women that go missing, and a certain amount of children that they go missing. And every once in a while, you hear about them finding somebody, and they didn't have no organs, or they didn't have no bones. Do you think this is by chance? And if so, you need to wake up. This is Brother Davis. We're coming into the last quarter. Pick up your phones and call in. We are lifting the veil of invisibility off truth. I'll be right back with some more information.
Make Black Talk Radio your choice for digital black radio. New Black Media for the new millennium.
All right, all right, all right. So listen, we cover quite a few different things. So let's just start talking about the school system. Do you realize that the school system, all of them want to stop teaching cursive writing, teaching them how to write it as well as read it. That is a no-no. The reason why that is a no-no is because cursive writing is a form of writing used on legal documents. Did you know that? For signatures and everything else. And if you don't have the ability to read or write in that, you are already at a disadvantage. Our children are already at a disadvantage because literally they're being brainwashed in front of a TV set when the parents aren't there to guide what they're reading, what they're looking at. They're being victimized by an indoctrination program that literally makes them think in confusion. And did you see the latest math? This new math is not new. It's confusion. That's why our children get frustrated in school because literally they're being bombarded with a lot of things that have nothing to do with the simplicity of a good quality of life. And then you throw in part of this indoctrination of sexuality. Now, remember when sex was something that was taught at home by the parent, the way the parent wants to teach it? Well, they took that right away from it. That's right. The school has a right to teach your son or your daughter about sexuality, and there are no limits. No limits. I mean, if we barely knew about missionary position, and they're teaching about oral and anal, are y'all hearing me? Because literally, what they're doing is immoral. And if you don't take this truth serious, your child will be so mixed up that when they go in the bathroom, they're going to be in a woman's bathroom watching somebody use it like a urinal. Because they want you to respect a person's state of mind instead of their physical content. Are you picking this up now? They want your children to believe that mental illness is an acceptable. Now, why do I say mental illness? I ain't got a problem explaining it to you. I say mental illness because they're saying that if a boy feels like he's a girl, he should have a right to go to a girl's bathroom. Well, what if he's faking he feels like a girl and he's a pedophile? And your child is going to the bathroom with this pedophile. Because they seek children now, too.
They are children.
Yeah. Okay, well, they seek children. And literally the sad part about that is that they might be putting on the front, oh, my name is Bobby, and I feel like a woman. And their whole intent is to go in and engage the children. Is anybody getting this? Because in reality, they got these things called unisex bathroom. That's cool when you can knock on the door and go one by one. But if I go into a bathroom and some woman's in there burying herself, my wife wouldn't go appreciate that. I'm not going to appreciate that. Because guess what? I could be in that bathroom for 2 minutes, and if she hollers rape, that puts a whole a whole new dimension on my life, being an African-American man. I know a lot of people probably say, oh, that may never happen, yeah. I didn't think that being pulled over for a traffic violation wouldn't end in death. When I was a kid, that never happened, but now it does. So I don't put nothing past the so-called civilization we live in now. Because these people are not only sick, dead, dying, and scorned, these people are out for vengeance. You know, there was a YouTube video, beautiful young black girl. She comes on, she smiles at you. You know, she'll turn your head. The next scene, she was there, barely dressed. I mean, he said, "This is what I look like when I go to the club. This is what I want to look like the night I went to the club and met so and so. And now I'm HIV positive. And I figure if somebody can give me HIV, I can give it to any man who wants it. You want some of this?" My heart dropped because this was her mentality. And I couldn't get upset because I understood her anger. I didn't understand why she felt that it was her against the world, but I understand her mentality. Why? Because she was angry that in the prime of her youth, she did something with a person who had a secret that now has put a tattoo brand on her body that could someday kill her. But this is the state that we live in now. This is the civil state of America. Now, understand the dynamics. If she put herself on there like that, and she would say 1 in 2,000, and 200,000 women, 100 of them could very well be carrying that virus and look very, very seductive. And I mean, she was looking very seductive. Oh, but let's really pull the veil off the truth here. Because I was on Facebook, and this sister was on there talking, and well, she wasn't talking. She was just dancing and moving around and everything. You know, she's little dance thing. I'm getting ready to cut it off, and I said, hello. Now, this hello is totally out of order for what you were saying. I hit the button again. I'm going to cut this off. I hit the button again, and I hear, my name is Mike. And you would not know that what you see is not a woman. And some people just like it like that. So you want to get with me, and then she says, click my, you know how they advertise themselves on the tube. But brothers and sisters, believe me, I'm so glad I'm not out there today. Because the truth, to pull the veil off the truth, is a powerful, powerful nightmare in some cases. And then there was a guy, muscle-bound, pumping iron and everything, got pictures of him in competition. He came up. Hey, my name's Michelle. What? Yeah, I date men and women. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. But this is the world that we live in. You want to lift the veil off truth? In most cases, you got to be prepared. I mean, mentally prepared for what may be exposed to you. So I don't want you to think for 1 minute that truth can all be exposed at once. It cannot. It cannot. And it gets worse. You hear me? I'm in a first stage of my life where I really don't need to go into a lot of those videos. But then I found out they got a site. And when I found out they got a site, I said, you know what, I don't even care. Because what I've seen already was enough to shock me. I am so glad I am not in the business of being single. Because literally, that's a terrifying thought. After I've seen what I saw, being single is a terrifying thought. My brothers and sisters, the truth is that it doesn't make a difference what somebody tells you. Because sometimes that veil is there over the truth because of choice. You know, you've heard people, oh, I don't want to know. My wife and I went to a health seminar, Maybe just take your blood pressure, take your BMX, check your eyes. Many people said, no, I don't, no, thank you. People who needed to know their numbers was, well, no, what I don't won't hurt me. What you don't know will kill you. So we're going to pull the veil over the truth, off of the truth. We got to pull it from over our heads too. And the sad part about it is that we in the holiday season. So I'll save this last segment because some people are going to be offended by it. But I did it on purpose. I want to give you something to think about. This whole Christmas plethora is nothing but a big stage play. And it was coerced hundreds of years ago. They may not have realized what they were doing, but came to this, but it has. Thousands of years. You see, Christianity is a part of a whole, but it's not based on the truth. So when you have these celebrations and you hear things like take Christ out of Christmas, they're doing that for a reason. And the reason why they're doing that is because they know the truth. You see, a lot of times when people get into conversations about religions and everything, and I try to stay away from them because my research taught me never argue religion with somebody who only uses a Bible because they believe it, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. Your belief system is your belief system. But then you turn around and you have Christmas with Christmas trees and gifts. And I say to you, well, can you show me this in the Bible? And you say to me, well, it's a celebration of Jesus Christ's birthday. And the sad part about that is that we don't see the truth because we don't want to. I was a part of that ritual. I don't want you to think I'm an exception. I just became focused on the truth when I found out the truth. So when it was exposed to me, and I'm going to tell you, I was a serious Bible-thumping Christian. I mean, I knew the Bible back and forth. I could argue the Bible, taught the Bible to many people. When I started doing my due diligence, and someone said to me, well, what do you have to verify the Bible other than the Bible? Well, I couldn't find nothing. Nothing that wasn't written based on what was in the Bible. We, as a people, are responsible for what we do. So as you go through this season and you hear them talk about celebrating the birthday of Christ, and you ask them, well, what's the Christmas tree for? What do the presents represent? See, all of these here things are attributes that they teach you about, but they don't answer no questions about. And the reasons why they don't answer no questions is because that way you don't have to ask them. And they'll tell you, shh, did it done. Don't say nothing, don't say nothing. And then you'll get this message and they'll walk off. And everybody's saying hallelujah and thank you. And they don't know what for. But the sad part about it is that we will not get to the truth by just going to the Bible. It's going to take something on your part. So I did some due diligence, and I found out that the essence of what was put in the Bible was done by design. And for those people you may not know, get a pencil, piece of paper, and look up Knights of Templar. You see, the Knights of Templar, their mission after the so-called Christian Crusades, which there's never been any proof of. The Christian Crusades that took place were against royal families and their belief systems. But there's no real physical proof of that. Well, the Knights of Templar were the escorts of the noble Aristides of Arabs that came on pilgrimage to the Vatican. And in order to do that, to ensure their safety, what they did was they would send the Knights of Templar to escort them. Well, the Knights of Templar would discuss with the Arabs what they learned. And the Arabs were saying, well, we found out that they were teaching about the sons of Abraham, and that we are the sons of Ishmael. Well, the Knights of Templar began to realize, why would they be teaching them something different than they teach the European Christians? Well, to make a long story short, the Knights of Templar were given a lot of power because they had to keep the secrets of why these pilgrimages of Arabs were coming to the Vatican. And to make a long story short, Abraham's son, Ishmael, is considered the father of Islam. Are we getting all this now? And actually, in the Bible and in the Quran, it's written that Ishmael is the father, is Allah, earthborn. So there was already a blend in religion. Now it gets deeper, because every religion has a lawgiver, every religion has some aspect of commandments, and every religion has some aspect of fellowship. Why? Because these are the things, the basic principles of our religion. And lastly, they all have some aspect of ritual. But all of these were based on the original Egyptian teachings. There was a method behind every aspect, but yet I can't tell you what's behind Christmas. I'd like y'all to think about that sometime during the holiday. When you go out here and spend all this money, you think about this being for the birth of baby Jesus. That's not true. This is a ploy. And it's been marketed so well that generation after generation after generation just brings their children into it to fulfill the next lane of generations. But we're starting to wake up now. I would say, if you really wanted to look into foundations, look at the foundation of Christmas, and you look in the foundation of Kwanzaa, and you see what's most fitting for you as black people. Because I'm going to tell you something. White Europeans are not going to give up any of their holidays as being true, because they don't have to explain them. See, that's that invisible veil. They don't have to explain none of that. And guess what? They used to give holiday bonuses. A lot of them don't even do that no more, because they know you're going to spend your money anyway. So why should they give you extra money? If you're not doing things to save it, you're not going to have it. And if you're not saving it and you're borrowing it, you're doing exactly what they want you to do. The sad part about that is that we become victimized because of the fact that we want to sustain the veil. No. Never let yourself be victimized by your ignorance. Because when you do, what you're saying is it's acceptable. And really, when you've accepted that, you've accepted death. So during this time, you got your family together, y'all should talk about things like the principles behind Christmas. And if you're African, try to catch a Kwanzaa. Think about the principles behind Kwanzaa. Now, I'm not promoting either one. It doesn't pay me to promote it. I do what I want to do. I told you I was just understanding now what's really going on when it comes to Kwanzaa. And I've been participating, not as a facilitator, but since I've had that interconnection, that's now going to be a part of my plan. And only because I understand what is trying to be achieved with from the foundation level up. And you see, when it comes to Christmas the way we know it, we don't have any understanding at all. And what is the purpose of the bulbs on the tree? All right, now they told me years ago that the star represented the Star of David, which is speaking about the Bible. It's okay. I understand that. But from the wrappings, the different color papers, the candies, and all of that, what basic part of this celebration is religious and what is not? You see, one thing about truth, it pricks you. And if you've been pricked by anything I said tonight, I want you to know that I didn't mean to offend you. But if some of you choose offense, that's your choice. It's not going to stop me from loving you. And the reason why it's not going to stop me is because that is a principle of the universe. To love you as I love myself. We don't all live by universal principles. I know that. And I'm not holding you to any standard that's not your own. But let me say this. We all must answer for our behavior. And our behavior includes our decisions while we're here. And believe me, when your time comes, you will answer. And one of the questions that you will answer is the question of your spiritual nature. If you knew that you were spiritual, why did you choose religion? And if you knew you preferred religion, why did you think that this was to serve a savior to do what you were supposed to do yourself? We do not have to have heaven after death. No. You know why? Because no one else does. Think about it. Everybody else has a heaven right here on earth. Why should we have to wait for our heaven after we die? It don't make sense. So let's go from the standpoint of from now forward. How we are going to be and how we are going to treat ourselves from now forward. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I enjoyed Wise Wednesday tonight. I'm hoping that I've given you some clarity about some of the things that literally are before us but have been hidden from us. We have and we are the most diabolical, the most dangerous and destructive country in the world. Make no mistake about it. There has been no human or no race of people or no group of people, let me say it like that, no group of people that has killed on such a destructive level as the so-called American. And parting, let me say to you, Merry Christmas if that's what you celebrate. Happy Kwanzaa if that's what you celebrate. Feliz Navidad if that's what you celebrate. And Happy Hanukkah. But whatever you do, seek the truth. Because if you know the truth, then you understand your principle. Whether you follow it or not is not my decision. This is Brother Davis on the Wise Wednesday. Scotty, I regularly leave a little time for Brother Dave to convey a few words. So let me give you this opportunity and I say thank you for the show tonight and thank you for your time. Peace.
All right. Thank you, Brother Davis. Coming up here at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time will be New Abolitionist Radio. For those that are in the conference line, we will shut that line down and restart it because we have 4 more hours of programming on this Wednesday night of December the 21st, 2016. You just got through listening to Wise Wednesday with Thando Radio Show or on Thando Radio Show with Brother Davis. Thando will be back on air on Monday the 26th. Thank you for listening.